2025 has gone down as the third hottest year ever recorded, marking another stark milestone in the accelerating global warming trend. Scientists, climate experts, and environmental advocates point to this latest data as evidence that the Earth is continuing to warm at an unprecedented rate, driven largely by human-induced emissions of greenhouse gases. The broader implications of such consistent temperature records are profound, raising urgent questions about the future of climate change and whether 2026 will bring even more extreme and disruptive impacts. Year after year, temperature records are being shattered across the globe. The surface of the planet is heating up, ocean waters are rising, and weather patterns are becoming more unpredictable and more extreme. For many people living in regions prone to drought, heat waves, flooding, hurricanes, or wildfires, these trends are not abstract. They are lived realities with devastating consequences. The fact that 2025 ranked as the third warmest year on record, in an era where every new decade has been warmer than the last, underscores that global warming is not a distant future problem, but a present-day crisis. The heat in 2025 was driven by a combination of long-term climate change and periodic natural weather fluctuations, including weak warming influences in the Pacific Ocean. But the underlying trend remains unmistakable. Average global temperatures have been rising steadily for decades due to the accumulation of carbon dioxide, methane, and other greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. These gases trap heat that would otherwise escape into space, creating a persistent warming effect that influences weather systems, ecosystems, and global climate patterns. One of the most immediate consequences of rising temperatures is the increase in extreme heat events. In 2025, many regions experienced prolonged heat waves that shattered local temperature records. Large swaths of Asia, Africa, and the Middle East recorded dangerously high temperatures that strained infrastructure, stressed water supplies, and triggered heat-related illnesses. In some cities, the combination of heat and humidity pushed conditions into a zone where prolonged outdoor exposure can be life-threatening. These trends are not isolated incidents, but part of a pattern of escalating heat extremes that climate scientists have long warned about. Another noticeable effect of the warming trend is the accelerated melting of ice in the Arctic and Antarctic regions. Sea ice extent continues to decline, contributing to a feedback loop where less ice means less sunlight is reflected back into space, further amplifying warming. At the same time, melting glaciers and the expansion of warming ocean waters are contributing to rising sea levels, which threaten low-lying coastal communities and island nations. Even small increases in sea level can lead to more frequent and severe coastal flooding, especially during storms or high tides. In addition to rising temperatures and shrinking ice, ecosystems around the world are under stress. Coral reefs, which are highly sensitive to temperature changes, continue to experience bleaching events and die-offs as ocean temperatures rise. Many terrestrial species are also shifting their ranges northward or to higher elevations in search of cooler conditions, disrupting long-established ecological relationships. In some cases, species that are unable to adapt or migrate face increased risk of extinction. Another dimension of the climate crisis is its impact on weather extremes. Warmer air can hold more moisture, which can lead to heavier rainfall and more intense flooding in some regions, while other areas suffer from prolonged drought and increased wildfire risk. In 2025, several powerful storms caused significant damage, demonstrating how warming conditions can fuel the intensity of hurricanes and cyclones. Fire seasons in places like parts of North America and Australia continue to extend and intensify, consuming forests and communities alike. Economically, the impacts of these climate extremes are staggering. Agriculture, which depends on predictable weather patterns, faces mounting challenges as heat, drought, or flooding disrupt crop cycles and livestock health. Infrastructure such as roads, bridges, electrical grids, and water systems are stressed by extreme conditions that they were not originally designed to withstand. Insurance companies have seen rising claims from weather-related disasters, and governments are increasingly allocating funds to disaster response rather than long-term development projects. So what does this mean for 2026? Many scientists which aims to keep global temperature rise well below 2 degrees Celsius, with efforts to limit warming to 1.5 degrees. Achieving these goals, however, requires rapid and deep emissions cuts, reforestation efforts, changes in land use, and shifts toward more sustainable agricultural practices. Many countries have pledged net zero emissions targets for mid-century or earlier, but meeting those targets will demand steep reductions in emissions and structural transformations of entire economies. In addition to mitigation efforts, adaptation strategies are crucial. Communities must prepare for the impacts that are now inevitable due to past and present emissions. This includes building resilient infrastructure, improving water management systems, protecting coastal areas from rising seas, and developing heat action plans to protect vulnerable populations. Equally important is ensuring that poorer and more climate-vulnerable countries receive financial and technical support to adapt effectively, as they often lack the resources to confront these challenges alone. Public awareness and activism also play a role. Climate movements around the world have pushed for stronger commitments and greater accountability from governments and corporations. Younger generations, in particular, have been vocal in demanding climate justice, highlighting the fact that they will bear the long-term consequences of decisions made today. Despite the urgency, there are signs that change is possible. Advances in renewable energy technology have made clean power more affordable and efficient.